All right, so welcome everyone. It's 5:39, so welcome to our work session, our first work session of the new year. We want to get in there and get started. As we review the agenda, is there anything that we need to add or take away from the agenda this evening? Council, all looks well? Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and excuse me, get started. Mr. Barnes, I can't see. I changed my view. Do we have Mr. Dis here, or is he
No, no,
going
no.
to
They're for
just
the council.
be at
Yeah,
our regular town meeting?
correct. They'll be at the regular
Okay,
meeting. Yeah,
so we'll have our presentation of our annual audit at our regular town meeting. Cool. All right, so any questions on our minutes at all? Nope. All right, so we'll move on to our hot topic, which is the proposed ordinance from the Green Team, Ms. Jonna and Ms. Maggie, for allowing chickens in the residents' backyard. Um, Ms. Jonna, did you want to present anything to the council? A statement?
I guess how familiar are folks with the ordinance? Has anyone seen it?
yes.
We've all
The
reviewed it.
ordinance,
Okay,
the
cool.
ordinance has gone out. The questions from the town attorney have gone out. The answers from Maggie have gone out, and your application that you prepared has gone out to them too.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. So then I don't won't bore you with stuff you already know. But we'll reiterate
Is Mr. Johnson on? I'm sorry, I'm
that's
John.
okay.
He is.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay.
Just want to reiterate with hopefully passing this ordinance will not, I don't think there will be a run on chickens in town. We are sort of modeling this after our bee ordinance that we put together a few years ago. And to this day, I don't think there is a single bee hive in town. So this is more to legitimize chickens that have already been in town that folks have had to deal with. So, sort of legitimizing and protecting and safeguarding practices that are already happening and setting us up for future success. So, backyard chickens are a way for folks to provide food for themselves. I'm sure you guys have seen the food lines at Town Hall and Tanglewood. Food insecurity is a real problem around here. They're also really great for composting, both eating your compost, your yard scraps, and then helping garden and till with their waste, which is compostable. So it's again becoming more and more prevalent in urban areas like Rockville and Montgomery County. Prince George's County recently updated their zoning regulations in 2022 to allow for chickens, not roosters. Those are not allowed at the county level, so they will not be allowed in Edmonston, which sort of circumvents a lot of concern we had around noise. But they're sort of similar to a dog kennel, an outdoor dog kennel, meaning like a few dogs, not like a boarding situation in terms of size and noise and all that. But I am happy to answer any questions and sort of assuage any fears you guys have. I think because they're sort of so new, and my perception of backyard chickens was an incredibly loud rooster in Riverdale Park around the corner. But in reality, they're much quieter and cleaner when they are done right, which they will be thanks to our application and supporting materials we have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Jonna. Council, any comments, questions, concerns?
Is there a limit to how many chickens they can have?
Yes,
Yes.
it's up to 4 because our town code, I believe is the right word, only allows for animals on a property. So four
That's-
hens
that's correct.
specifically.
You have it right, Jonah. That is correct.
Betsy?
Okay, I have a serious problem with this. We have a cat problem that's out of control, that we can't get a handle on. I have on my cameras in the backyard foxes that have now come to visit since the park has been cleaned out. I've seen them grab a few of the cats and take off. What the heck do you think is going to happen when chicken coops go up? One, the cats are going to come, they're going to be more popular. The foxes are going to get in them. And I know good people will keep the coops clean. But you have good people that are real lazy. The cat smell is unbelievable. I've seen how bad a chicken coop smells when it's not clean. And that makes the cat smell sort of like lavender. I am 100% against it. We don't, if people having chickens in their backyard, it's not going to stop or slow up the food that we give away on Saturdays. It's not going to even make a dent, people having these chickens in their backyard. And it's not going, we're not going to be able to enforce the cleaning, the roosters. People are going to bring roosters in. They bring roosters in now. Now, Steve is excellent. He is on top of things, but he's overwhelmed now with things that have not been kept up in the past. And he's trying to bring the town back in compliance with everything. But right now is not the right time for us to bring chickens in to the town. I'm 100% against it.
I appreciate your concern, and I hear where you're coming from. There's a lot to talk about with that, so I'll try to address all of it, and if I don't, holler and I'll come back to it. As for, I mean, the cats will always be there, will always be a problem. The foxes, of course, with the deforestation, that has become an exponential issue. I will say, I think people that have backyard chickens, the literature around it, need to understand the sort of facet of life of having things outside that can, predators and prey animals are around, and that is a factor of having these. And I don't, they are contained in a coop, and I'm not saying that foxes can't get that, but that's just a reality of having backyard chickens, is that they are subject to nature and natural things around them. So, with that being said, I think following proper coop precautions and doing as much as you can as possible, but there, I can't categorically say, like, there's no way natural predators will not be themselves and therefore therefore get at the chickens. I think that's just a reality you undertake when you decide to do something like this. And to that point, then they're gone all the faster. In terms of waste and cleanup and enforcement, that is a real concern we had around this, and sort of how do you enforce this and how can you enforce this, which is why we added sort of the homeowner coming to town hall for an annual sort of check-in and inspection. So it's not on Steve to have a like, oh, let me check in on XYZ person and that. And again, I want to reiterate, setting up these guidelines and allowing this does not necessarily mean that there are going to be a squajillion roosters all throughout town. It's just legitimizing and adding sort of fees and structures around this so that when people do it, we can point them to, you have to pay this permit fee, you need to notify your neighbors, no, you cannot have that rooster here. It's just sort of legitimizing and providing structure to something that is a reality, whether or not we want it.
The reality is that people don't stop at stop signs, correct?
Oh, I wish.
Okay, I mean, the chief can tell you we had a camera up, and as many, what was it, 1,000 a day? We're going through the stop sign? 1,000 a day at one stop sign.
I'm surprised it's not more.
Well, we can't get a handle on that. No police department get a handle on that. There's no way that we're going to be able to keep the chickens in wraps. The chickens are going to get out. They're going to be terrorized by other wildlife. Roosters are going to come in. We don't need that headache. We absolutely do not need that. I moved to the town. I moved not out, in the country, because I don't want that headache. I don't want to be woken up by, a rooster. I know you're saying it's on there. We're not going to be allowed to have them. Well, same thing. We have stop signs. You're not supposed to run through them, but it's going to happen. It's the police department. I'm not putting that on them. They're not animal control. We got too many other problems in the town we need to take care of before we even consider bringing in any kind of other, chickens. And, the one thing, we got to get a handle on these cats. They're a menace, and I'm not going to bring in another menace.
Fair. I
Good
definitely
points.
agree with you that the cats are a menace. And I just want to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mayor Gant.
No.
I agree with that, and I do hear you. I know that this is a big ask, but I do just want to say, like, just because people won't necessarily follow every single rule of every single ordinance, does that mean it's not worth doing?
Yes.
I just want to
It's not worth
say that.
doing until, I don't want to put another thing on our books that we have to enforce when our police department and our compliance officers are working real hard to enforce things that haven't been enforced in 10, 20 years. And I want to throw another thing on them. Nope. Not going to happen. Not going to do it. Our department is too small, and I know how I walk the town. I see all kinds of things. I'm not going to add this to the problem.
Great. Thank you, Ms. McCauley. Ms. Serrano, did you have any comment?
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Ms. Serrano, before you. Now, I do see that we have some residents here, and I'm glad that we do. A lot of times when we have changes or ordinances, changes to our ordinances, we don't have resident input. So I'm glad that we do have some residents here. So if you do have a comment, or if you're concerned about it, I would encourage you to go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to read it. Mr. Barnes or Ms. Avery can go ahead and read it for you. Generally, during our work session, we don't take comments from our residents. It's a good listening session for you. But in some cases, we will go ahead and take your comments. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and put your comment in the chat. So I just wanted to open that up for you. And welcome. Thank you for being here. Ms. Serrano, again, I apologize. You can go ahead.
No worries. Thank you. I think one of the things that I noticed from the emails was that there was no real answer on enforcement of this. And I think it's really hard to enforce something like this, especially in private properties. And the escalation of what that enforcement looks like to me is a real concern, because if we show up and there's a house that continues to violate and has 6 chickens or 8 chickens, like, how much are we willing to escalate something like that in terms of constant violators? And I just don't think we have any clear understanding of that yet, as far as I know. And I also don't think we have any clear understanding of how much we can enforce before the county steps in. I want to support this in like a theory way. Like I hear what you're saying and all the benefits that this could have, but I think those are issues that we should have a clear answer to before we enforce something like before we allow something like this in the town.
Good comment.
Yeah, for definitely. This is something we kind of we're noodling on with the green team because it's sort of like, you know, how do you, like Councilmember Macaulay was saying, like people are going to do it no matter what. So how do you stop them from doing it anyway? So we sort of had the tiered violation system, which matches, Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, it matches a sort of similar violation system of another ordinance we have. I don't know if it's around dogs or around something else, but we modeled it after other escalation systems we
That's
have.
correct.
And
It's around the animals that Judge Deloach just followed the existing ordinance that he added this to. And the question that Councilmember Serrano asked about no clear understanding, that's a really good question for the town attorney. What happens as it escalates? Because I can tell you that we've had examples where we've had complaints about chickens in backyards. Code enforcement has knocked on their door and told them, you know, chickens aren't allowed, and given them 30 days to remove them. And they've all complied. There's at least 2 instances of that I know about. And so the folks complied, and we didn't have to go to whatever the next step was going to be, which was a little unclear of what that would be. So I think that's a good question, certainly to have Judge Deloach answer for.
Okay. And Miss Jonna, please don't feel beat up on. Don't feel like you have to answer every question. Maybe it's something that you write down and take it back to the
for
team.
sure, for sure.
This is just our comments and opinion.
Mhm,
You just
mhm,
bring it to the council, and we just give you our thoughts and opinions, and
mhm.
we take the thoughts and opinions of the residents as well. We want to do what's best for the community.
For sure. Don't worry, I'm
And
not taking anything
yeah.
personally.
I do know that I feel that when we say a certain number of chickens, that in most cases, as Miss Macaulay said, there will be a rooster. I feel that there will be a rooster. I know that we did have one right across from the town hall, and it is disruptive. I guess it's just if you have some hens, you want a rooster. I know that one did get away, and one ended up over where I live. And what happened was, I guess because I'm the mayor, I was supposed to figure it out.
A wild rooster
Um,
chase.
and
Oh
that's
no.
what happened. It ended up being that. And I found out that the thing was there for several days. And it was just after it became annoying and a problem that it came to me. Um, and those who know me know I have a problem with things with feathers. Um, so I went to the resident, and someone else had to help to get the the hen out of the area, but it was really a wild hen chase. So I do support the fact that we won't be able to really um, be able to manage how many hens are in a yard. We don't have the uh, the personnel to do that. I feel that it is a benefit to those who have it, because I do enjoy a fresh egg from, you know, a chicken. I definitely do. But, you know, I think that the homes are rather close, and it may be disruptive to a neighbor who doesn't enjoy having chickens next to them. So we have to consider that. Our yards are huge, but they're not so far apart where it may not be disruptive to another neighbor. So we have to consider that part too. Where it may be a benefit for one resident, it may be disruptive to another. So I think those things are important for us to think about. Whereas it may be compost to one resident, it may be disgusting to another. So I am not in support of it, but of course, if the majority is, then you know, I will, of course, go with it. But I'm just not in support of it because I just feel that it is it could be disruptive, and it could take away man hours that we don't have. We don't have the personnel to monitor it. Those are my thoughts. And I do believe that it could possibly bring in, as Ms. McCulley said, more foxes. I know that that was a problem when we had the chickens at the farm, and I think that's why the farm doesn't have the chickens anymore. Now, when the farm had it, I thought it was a good idea for them to have it. But I think that's why they don't have it. It's because of, you know, the chickens became prey to the foxes. Okay. Any more feedback? Oh, Miss Avery and Mr. Barnes, I'm gonna put my glasses off.
We've got something from Cameron saying that I agree with Miss Elson that just because some people who do not follow the rules does not mean there should not be any rules at all. That being said, I would like to know what the level of escalation is for violations of the ordinance. At what point does the town revoke this for a permanent resident?
I don't think we've gotten that far.
In place. Yeah, we don't have those things in place. And that would mean that it would take our man hours to do so. Good question.
I'm frantically scrolling through documents to like find the exact language around that. Which since I don't have it, I won't bore you waiting, but we do.
It is contained in the ordinance on what the what the violation process is, and it does escalate from fines to ultimately, you know, probably removing the coops and the chickens. But I don't, like Donna says, I was trying to scroll on my phone to grab the document, and I could not get that fast enough to do that. But yes, there is a process, and there is penalties, and they do escalate as severity comes up.
I see the chief has a comment.
Yeah, Ron, you're right. It's a monetary fine starting from $75 up until $200. It stops at $200, and that's when it gets resorted over to the district court. And all they do is they double that charge as much as they can.
And even though the ordinance has been kind of written, we haven't gone through it. We haven't, because I would say the first time they break the rule, it's $150. I mean, it's $75 is just oh well, they called me $75. I think we've found when we hit people in their pockets on anything, whether it's chickens or, you know, other things that we have, they think twice before doing it again. But as I say, we just don't have the manpower, the staff to take care of anything like this.
Yeah, and that's why the ordinance is, you know, was drafted, and that's why was wanting to have comment back, so that if it needed to be fine-tuned or additional components added, they could be to bring back. So this isn't on your council agenda for action. This is just simply a conversation because it was an initiative from the Green Team. And it's an important initiative as we've dealt, like Jonna said,
It is.
with these issues, as the mayor described, something that could have been on probably America's Funniest Home Videos as they were trying to catch the hen. And then, we've had several instances where no rooster per se, but hens in the back of a yard. Then we had instance, like she said, across from town hall, where we had a rooster that constantly crowed every morning that I arrived at 6:30 at the town hall. I would hear the rooster crowing. So those folks, when they were approached, they agreed to removal, and so it didn't escalate. But those are all major concerns, and this is a great discussion, that feedback that we're getting today. So thank you each.
And I will say there was a time that I sent the chief and the lieutenant a video of a chicken that was in the woods behind Elizabeth Landing.
Yes. And Maggie asked if they were fined. They were not fined because they were given the opportunity to remove the chickens. And so they removed the chickens on their own. And
the people that had that chicken up there kind of got upset with me because I was letting Baz chase it. And that could have, I ended up sending the video down to the chief and to the lieutenant and then just backed away because that was going to get ugly quick. So,
Mary, I don't think this is related to the discussion with chickens, but Mr. Daniels is on tonight, and he indicates in the chat that he just had his porch shoveled, and he has some of the best neighbors. So I think he's making a statement there.
Very good. Thank you so much. That's important. We appreciate that. That's important. That's the great part about being here, living in Edmonston.
The plow's going to come by tonight and push it all back in your driveway.
Very good. Thank you so much, Ms. Jonna, for presenting that. I'm sure there are many residents that appreciate that.
Just one other point to add that I remembered, your discussion on small lot sizes. We did discuss sort of the setback, so how setback the coop needs to be from both the property line, the dwelling, and any existing structures. And I believe we set it somewhere around 5 feet, but something else we discussed is a sort of workaround for not having coops on small lots is increasing that setback. So that's sort of something to consider, where it's like, okay, increasing that setback means they can only be on lots that are much larger and therefore might not be as much of a nuisance to neighbors that therefore are not as close to the coop. So that's just other sort of food for thought on how the ordinance can be designed to ensure that coops end up being allowed on certain properties and not on others. So there's a lot to tailor. But appreciate your time. Thank you for consideration and your thoughts and questions. Much appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being the Green Team. This is what you do. So appreciate that. Yeah. All right. So council, is there anything else that you have that you'd like for the agenda? Other than that, that's all we have for January. Well, superb. Ms. Coney, you're good? All right. Ms. McCulley?
I'm always good.
All right. Mr. Barnes. Mr. Johnson? I see you, Mr. Barnes. All right. I think Mr. Johnson is good. He's on, he put his phone on mute. Mr. Barnes?
Just a couple of items real quick, Mayor. Just a reminder that tomorrow night is the Maryland Municipal League legislative reception in Annapolis at the Governor's House, 6 to 8 p.m. All elected officials are invited to attend as the legislative session kicks off the year, and that's very popular reception. I know you attend. I believe Councilmember Serrano has attended. So anyone else that would want to attend that, please do that.
I'd like to see Betsy go.
Second is I got a
Hi.
email today from one of the residents concerned about the plants in the rain gardens on Gallatin Street, and she did not think that they were to the standards that she maintained her property, and so she wanted the council to be aware of that and to perhaps do something about the appearance of the plants in the gardens. And so I did indicate to her that we did have a problem with the asters on Gallatin Street in the rain gardens, but I also indicated back to her that the rain gardens are not designed for pretty, blooming, beautiful plants. They're designed
In
for
similarity.
native plants that are going to suck up lots of water that flows into those rain gardens and do well. And so what I said to her was, and I hope this answers the concern, is she seemed to think, or seemed to say it did, was that our landscape architect will take a look at what plants are lower in terms of height and more manageable in terms of growing during the season. And so we will not change out all the plants on Gallatin Street and the rain gardens, but we will try to change out some of the ones that have grown a little unruly, or do a better job of trimming them back as they do that. So she asked for me, she could not attend tonight, and she asked for me to let you know about that. And so I just wanted to provide you that information.
Yes. I kind of like them, but I understand what she's saying. I kind of like them though. I noticed the difference.
Yeah, I do too. But like
Yeah.
you said, I think we're more aware of them because of the others in the other locations. And so we'll just do a little bit better job on Gallatin of making sure that we've got a good plant selection of native plants, and the height is controlled a little bit more.
Thank you. Chief,
And that
you
was
good?
it.
You good, Chief and Miss Avery?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. All right. Well, I'll see you guys in about 30, 40 minutes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, residents, for signing on.